Hey there, everyone. Welcome inside the 704 High School Highlight Podcast. My name is Jeff Taylor. I'm the sports director at Bahakel Sports. Thanks for joining us today for our episode. And some exciting news. We have a sponsor, so we want to welcome aboard the Downer Law Firm. And they are Charlotte's hometown legal team. If you're injured, make sure you call the Downer Law Firm. We thank them for jumping on board the 704 High School Highlight Podcast and supporting high school sports here in the Charlotte area. So today, we are joined by Eric Heel. He is a junior at Mooresville High School. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, man. Got out of school. No, you're off.
Yeah.
You're off today.
Spring
Cool.
break.
Spring break. Yeah, fall break. There we go.
Fall break.
So, talk to me a little bit about your journey growing up. Was it always football? Were there other sports you were involved in? And just talk to me a little bit about maybe growing up a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, my dad, he's always been like, he had a gym whenever I was younger. He's a personal trainer, so I always just wanted to go to work with him, and I would just like do push-ups, do agility, stuff like that. And then when I was like 9 or 10, I started playing football, and I fell in love with the sport. It was a lot of fun when I was younger.
Did you do any other sports other than that, or was it just strictly football?
When I was younger, it was just football, but then I started wrestling when I was younger to help with football,
right?
Tackling stuff because I played both ways when I was younger, and then I started running track as well to get my speed up and agility, all that stuff.
How cool was it wrestling in terms of that? And do you really think that really, I mean, we get track and understanding how that could help football.
Yeah.
But talk to me a little bit about wrestling. How did that maybe help you toward toward football?
Yeah, it was fun. I was young, so I just kind of like being there. You got to, wrestle kids, just kind of get thrown around and stuff. But yeah, it was pretty fun.
So middle school ball? Did you play middle school ball?
Yes, sir.
Where was that at?
Mooresville Middle School.
Mooresville Middle School? Oh, cool. And then off to high school. So talk to me a little bit about high school now in terms of you played, we call it Pop Warner or whatever, and then, you talk about middle school. Talk to me a little about high school. How intense is it nowadays? Because I know that I've had 3 boys play football. And back when I played, and maybe your dad or whatever, I don't know that it was intense or it was 24/7 and there were meetings and there were Zoom calls. And there's a lot more about it in terms of we were able to play a lot of other sports and stuff. How intense is it nowadays to play high school football?
Yeah, I think it's pretty intense. You gotta stay on top of really everything, because you can go on loss of privilege if you're acting up in school, and then you're out and you can't play. So you have to be on top of your grades. Got to be aware of how you're presenting yourself to everybody, and you got to show up on time, because the coaches they want you to be there,
right?
And they're not gonna just give you a job just because you're talented. Coach always says that you have to earn your job in practice.
Right.
So
let's talk a little bit about you play running back.
Yes, sir.
And we've kind of gotten to the point where maybe the running back position maybe isn't as in the spotlight as it was, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We get to the point now where you've got these high-powered offenses. Whether it's even, I've seen it in Pop Warner Middle School, high school, where quarterbacks will throw in 40 times. You see colleges. You look at Spencer Rattler in South Carolina, or Joe Milton in Tennessee, whatever. You get all these guys who are throwing it, and then of course in the pros you get the Mahomes and everybody who's slinging it 40, 50 times. But with that being said, we know, and we talked a little bit before we got recording here, we talk about Christian McCaffrey or somebody like Derrick Henry. It's not dead yet.
It's not.
So just talk to me a little bit about maybe why you love playing the running back position, knowing that maybe it's not the position that it used to be. And is it coming back? Just talk to me a little bit about that position.
Okay, so I think at our high school, we always start with running the ball.
Right.
And if our run game isn't good, then our pass game isn't going to be good, because we have to open it up with our run game.
Right.
So, I don't
Are you listening to that, Panthers? You got to get the run game going. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, I don't think it's dead. I love playing running back because, I just like getting the ball in my hands.
Right.
I like to have the ball as quick as possible. And, I've been playing since I was young. It's what I've played my whole life. So I just kind of get it. And then when I was a freshman, I actually tried being a receiver. And I didn't really get the ball that much. And I'm more a person who needs the ball in my hands, to make plays instead of, running routes and catching it.
Right. In terms of this year, and I'm going to go back to the Providence game. And I talked about it on the Blitz and at one play of the week. It's still, to me, it reminded me of Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
The run against New Orleans, Beastquake or whatever. That's what it reminded me of to a point. Or I go back to Derrick Henry and the 99-yard run against the Jags, where it was just. But I knew you were done. I'm like, he's tackled, he stopped, they're going to blow the whistle, and yet, boom, you broke through. What's the mentality on a run like that? I mean, you've got 8 guys on you, or 7 guys, or however many guys were on you. What's your mentality on a run like that?
I don't really know. I mean, I didn't expect to do that when I got the ball. It was kind of a broken play. I started off going to the left, made contact with the dude, and then started backpedaling, and I shed the tackle. And right when I shed the tackle, another guy hit me, and I just lowered my shoulder, and then kept on running, threw him to the ground, and then just kept on moving my legs. And my line, they came up too. They started pushing me a little bit, and then I see a little light, and
Right.
next thing I know, the dude misses the tackle, and I'm running to the end zone.
Right. Well, I know we're still got a few more weeks. If we do a play of the year, that's still my that's still my nomination for play of the year. And I've watched a couple more highlights that we've had on the Blitz, which you can catch every Friday night, 11 o'clock on BahakelSports.com. A little plug there for the Blitz. But in the other highlights we've shown of Mooresville where you've had the ball and stuff like that, and I don't know if it's something your dad taught you, coaches taught you, but for me, I know when I coached football, talking to my running backs, it was always keep your feet moving.
Yeah.
Keep your legs moving. Is that kind of your main focus when you get the ball?
Yeah, it definitely is. My dad always tells me, you're not a guy to cut, it's like dance around and all that. So get through the hole, one cut, get upfield, make a man miss, and try to get to the end zone.
Cool. So in terms of running back in the NFL, seems to your favorite, or are there a couple? Because
He's definitely my favorite. I
Okay.
watch him the most.
Got it.
I try to, I watch all his highlights from college, NFL, and try to, mimic what he does.
Right. Because he's so well versed in everything.
Yeah, he's
in terms
versatile.
of and the versatile, which adds another dimension to all of it. Because to me, a lot of times sometimes I don't even look at him as a running back per se. I just look at him as that all-purpose
He's
player.
an athlete.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But I watch you though, and I get more of a Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry type vibe.
Yeah.
Do you get that at all?
I feel like
Like the number 2, by the way, 22. Like
Yeah.
the number there. Do you get that vibe of more of that, or do you lean more toward the versatile?
Yeah, I can see the vibe of more Derrick Henry because, I feel like I don't go on as much, because we don't, throw the ball to our running backs as much.
Right,
as
right.
We a lot of plays just get upfield and kind of tough it out.
Line it up and run it down your throat.
Yeah, run it down the throat.
Right.
Quickest way to the end zone is right up the middle. So,
Got it. Cool. In terms of, let's switch gears a little bit. In terms of being successful and getting to the point of being the athlete you are and stuff like that, can you tell me a little bit about family and what they've meant to you as you've grown up and gotten you to the point that you're at right now?
yeah, it's been really good. My dad's always been my biggest supporter. He's always been there for me with everything. He's always been really on top of me about my grades and doing good in school. It's the first thing that comes first, being a student athlete. They've always been really supportive of me, and they've always been behind me.
Got it. In terms of your season so far, and let's talk about Mooresville as a team. To me, I know y'all have been good, but this is kind of a surprise for me in terms of just how good you guys have been and how solid y'all have been on in every aspect, from special teams to offense to defense. How good is this team this year, and why is it so good?
I think we're really good this year. I feel like people kind of underestimate us going to this season. Our entire defense is kind of coming back. We only lost two seniors who graduated.
Right.
But mostly, all of our key players on defense, they're still here. And they're all really young. We're probably going to have most of them next year, too.
Is the mentality ever from coaches or anything, the fact of when you watch, TV or you read the newspaper and stuff like that, there's the Butler, the Independence, the Huff, the Mallard Creek. Do you guys ever feel like you get lost in the shuffle? And has your coach ever used that as a motivation that, we're the school? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Maybe the school that doesn't get as much recognition as it should. Does he ever use that as motivation, or do you guys ever talk about that or think about that?
I think sometimes, I don't really think he tries to not make us think about that too much.
Right.
And kind of just focus on us every week. It's 1-0 mentality and just try to win every game when we get to the game.
Talk a little bit about the school itself, the support of the students, the administration. And I've been to a game there. It's a pretty wild crowd and a pretty wild scene. Just talk about the support of the school first, and even the town itself, maybe.
They're very supportive. We go to the game, get a great atmosphere. It's hard to well, I feel like I'm kind of tunnel vision when I'm out there.
Right.
Like I get the ball and
It gets silent.
It gets super silent.
Yeah, gets
like,
quiet.
I can hear everybody cheering in like the back of my head.
Right.
But I don't hear any of it until I score. But yeah, I think the student section is pretty cool. Going from JV to varsity, you get it's a kind of a different feel. You get
Right.
a lot of people. It's way more people than
Right.
JV. It's so much more loud.
Right. What about the town itself? Because it seems like sometimes they shut down the town on Friday nights
Yeah.
for a football game.
Yeah, they have a lot of support too. A lot of people talk about us, and they're very supportive, like on Facebook and Twitter, all that kind of stuff. A lot of people are supporting us.
This Friday night you have
West Cabarrus.
West Cabarrus. Can you talk to me a little bit about them, what they bring to the table, what type of challenges they pose, and how do you, at the point you guys are at now, let's talk about them first. Just let me know about them.
West
as a team.
Cabarrus?
Yeah.
So I know that we've been talking about them. They have these two defensive ends. They're pretty big. So that's kind of one of our biggest like key factors going to the game and on their defense is I know they're going to be a pretty big problem, but we're just going to try to get around them. And yeah, they're a pretty solid team. Their defense is pretty solid. I think they're similar to some teams that we've played.
Cool. Just a quick reminder that you're listening to the 704 High School Highlight Podcast, and we have a sponsor now, and it is the Downer Law Firm. We thank them for coming on board. They are Charlotte's hometown legal team. If you're ever injured, make sure you call the Downer Law Firm. So, what is their record, by the way? I don't have it in front of me.
Their record? Who?
Do you know
West Cabarrus record?
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Not up near the top.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you this, though. How do coaches, because I know I've coached and, your dad's coach and stuff like that, in terms of how does he keep y'all like level-headed? I mean, we're talking with teenage boys, and
Yeah.
you have the record you have, and you're successful as you are right now. How does he keep you guys level-headed and not, you say one game at a time?
Yeah.
Is that hard to do when you're playing a team like West Cabarrus and you know how good you are?
Yeah, I mean, it's been similar like that. Like when we played like West Rowan and South Iredale, also not the highest ranked teams in their division
Right.
in our conference. So like we've had that kind of thing where you're maybe not as focused at practice, but coach recognizes that and he gets on top of us at practice. Like he's like, so he doesn't want to be the mean guy at practice, but if that's what it takes to get everybody to start hitting and focus, then he'll he can make practice really suck, or
Not fun.
he's not fun.
Right. He can rope it in real quick.
Yeah, but once he does that, everybody starts listening. But yeah, on our weeks like this where it's maybe not the biggest opponent in the state, we still treat it as it is. You got to really go 1-0, have that mentality.
Even though we're still a couple weeks away from the matchup against Lake Norman, is it hard not to think ahead?
It definitely is. I definitely do think ahead a lot about that game. It's kind of like the highlight of the year,
What is it about that matchup?
I don't know. It's just, I feel like it's just like everybody, like I have a bunch of friends who go to Lake Norman.
Right.
Everybody kind of knows each other, and it's just like everybody wants kind of like to say
The bragging rights?
Yeah, bragging rights. You get that for the whole year.
Right. Cool. So, have you had any looks from the next level?
Not so much for football, but I have gotten a letter for track and field from.
Oh.
They wanted to add me to their recruits list. So
Got it.
That's pretty cool.
Cool. So, given the opportunity, you'd love to play at the next level?
Yes, sir.
Is that your goal?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Let me ask you this. I'm going to throw a couple questions at you in terms of you're a young man junior, so you could go through the recruiting process. What are your thoughts on the transfer portal? Because I know for me, and I'll ask you that question because I've asked a bunch of kids who've been on it and stuff. For me, I get it to a point, but I don't like it because I feel like it takes away the opportunity of high school kids. What are your thoughts on it? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't know too much about it, but I definitely, yeah. So our coach, it's another thing because you're getting recruited, but there's also people in the transfer portal. It's another reason to do everything right, especially with grades and being recruitable.
Right.
So if you don't have let's say above a 3.0, and then there's already somebody who's been through the whole college, they've already been through it, their grades are good, then why would a college coach not take them and they would look for you, who's just a high school student?
Right. Cool. So talk to me a little bit about your day in terms of obviously you've got to stay on top of your grades.
Yeah.
You have practice, and we can think football 24/7 and stuff. Just walk me through a day. What's your day like? How do you kind of keep focused on football, but also keep focused on your grades? Being at home. How does that kind of all mesh together?
Yeah. So I just wake up, eat a little bit, eat something for breakfast, go to school. My first class is football weightlifting, so
Okay.
get a little lift in for the day.
Got it.
It wakes you up, and I never really struggled with staying on top of my grades. It's always been pretty easy for me. So I usually don't have like a lot of homework. So I finish all my classes, and right after school, go to football practice. Have a good time at football practice, get my work done there, and then just go home. Maybe hang out with my friends after practice. We might go get something to eat, or just go to somebody's house and hang out, and then just maybe play some video games and go to sleep.
When we talk about weightlifting and stuff like that, and you say you lift some maybe in the mornings and stuff like that, just talk to people out there a little bit about that, because in terms of, we know when they weightlift and stuff like that, people think it tears down the muscles and stuff like that. How do you weightlift and then still play football? How does that all mesh together? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so we have first semester, second semester, and lifting looks different for both semesters, because first semester we're in season, second semester is off season training. So, so lifting during our in season training, it's not as intense as off season, but yeah, we still just do like all the conventional bench, squat, and clean. But we have just recently got like a tsunami bar.
Okay.
You know what that is?
No, I do not.
It's like a 13-pound bar, but
Okay.
it's like it bends.
Oh,
So
wow.
when you press it, it'll bend. So you have to have a lot of like control and balance. But we've been using that a lot more for our in-season training, and just doing like explosive movements with that.
Cool. In terms of, I'll ask you this last question, or almost next to last question. When you talk about playing football and sports, people who don't play high school football maybe can't understand what makes it what it is, if that makes sense. To me, it is like the purest sport that's out there. And what I mean is there's just purity to it. It's just you go out and you play the game, and it's that. Tell the people who are watching and listening, what is the atmosphere truly like on a Friday night?
I mean, it's surreal. Like, I mean, you make this bond with all your friends, and then you're really just playing for each other out there, and then you just you trust your teammates, and yeah, it's really surreal. Like, you get out there, and time kind of just flies by.
Right.
Like, you're in the first quarter, things might be going slow, and then you're talking to your coaches at the end of the game. They're they're telling you how you did, and
Right.
they're giving you feedback, and then you're going right back to the locker room.
Right. And for me too, it's like people always ask me, like I officiated for about 10 years, and people would go, why do you do it? And I'm like, I can't tell you why. It's just something. And my dad did it for 56 years. He officiated for 56 years, and I always asked him, when's it time to stop officiating? And he says, when I walk out on the field on a Friday night and I don't get the feeling. I don't get the butterflies. So no matter how many times you run through a banner or run onto the field, does it ever change? To me, it's like it's always exciting.
No, I get the same feeling every
You know what I'm
single
getting
time.
at? Yeah.
My stomach is
But it
always,
doesn't change. It doesn't take away from
change.
it. Right.
My stomach's always twisting and turning before the first play, and then once you get hit, you're good, and you're good to play. Everything goes away. You stop hearing everything around you. You're just focusing on what's happening during the game.
Okay. Final question. You have a great rest of the season over the next 2 or 3 games. Get to the postseason. How good can this team be in the postseason? Because to me, watching you guys and watching the video I have and stuff like that, it seems like y'all are a team that is built for postseason.
Yeah.
In terms of the toughness, running the football, getting it done that way, it just seems like a team that's made to make a very big postseason run.
Yeah, I think we all have big expectations for this year, and everybody wants to, go for the state title. I think we can get it done. It's just everybody has to stay focused.
Right.
And, not slip up in class, just everybody stay focused when we're on the practice field, just get your job done, don't mess around. But yeah, I think we're gonna go pretty far. I think our team is really good this year. I think we're gonna go pretty far in the playoffs.
Cool. Eric Hill,
Thank you.
thanks for your time, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Make sure you check him out on Friday nights. The man can run the football. I'm telling you that. I'm gonna show that. I'm gonna show that clip at least 2 or 3 times during this podcast because to me, it's still the best run of the year. Best of luck to you, man. The rest of this year, next year, and in the future. I know there are big things in store for you. So appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You got it. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the 704 High School Highlight Podcast. Once again, so thankful for the Downer Law Firm coming on to be a sponsor here. They are Charlotte's hometown legal team. If you're ever injured, make sure you call the Downer Law Firm. Check them out. And just thanks to them for backing high school sports and what we're trying to do here at Bahakel Sports. Thank you for checking out the 704 High School Highlight Podcast. Make sure you check us out wherever you listen or watch podcasts. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, whatever it is. We love the support. Send us some comments, send us some questions. And until next week, have a good week and enjoy high school football.